If you only had 1 month to grow something at home and wanted to be sure you'd actually harvest it, grow this. Not tomatoes, not peppers, not lettuce. Grow water spinach. And honestly, it's one of the fastest, easiest vegetables you can grow, especially if you're a beginner. When I first started gardening, I was looking for something simple, something fast, something easy enough that I wouldn't feel discouraged after just a few days. Because when you're new to gardening, mistakes happen. I watered too much. Sometimes I forgot to water at all. Sometimes I used the wrong soil, and I lost a lot of plants. But water spinach was different. It was stronger, more forgiving, and it grew incredibly fast. It gave me my first successful harvests, and that made me realize gardening doesn't have to be complicated. That's why today I want to share why water spinach is one of the best vegetables for beginners. The first reason is simple: it grows fast, really fast. In warm weather, you can harvest it in just 25 to 30 days. That's much quicker than most vegetables. And when you're just starting, quick results matter because seeing progress keeps you motivated. With water spinach, you can almost watch it grow. One day the leaves are tiny, a few days later, the stems are longer. Then suddenly, your whole pot is full of green. And that feeling is exciting. The second reason is that it doesn't need much space. Look at my garden. I don't have a backyard, just a small balcony. But even with this little space, I can still grow plenty of water spinach. A foam box works, a plastic pot works, even an old bucket works. You don't need anything fancy. That's one thing I love about it. It's practical, simple, and beginner friendly. The third reason is one of the best parts. You can harvest it more than once. You don't pull the whole plant out, you just cut the stems and leave the roots, and it keeps growing back. One planting can give you several harvests. The first time I cut my water spinach and saw new shoots growing again a few days later, I was honestly surprised. It felt like endless vegetables. Now let me show you how I grow it. It's very simple. I usually grow it from seeds. First, I soak the seeds in warm water for about 6 hours. This helps them germinate faster. While the seeds are soaking, I prepare the soil. My mix is simple. I use regular soil, compost, and a little rice husk to keep it loose. Water spinach likes moisture, but the soil still needs to breathe. Then I sprinkle the seeds on top. Not too crowded, just enough space for them to grow. After that, I cover them lightly with a thin layer of soil. And then I water gently. That's it. A few days later, the first little green sprouts start to appear. And honestly, that part never gets old. Seeing life come out of the soil is always exciting. Now here's something important. Water spinach absolutely loves water. In fact, it can even grow in water. If you've ever seen it growing in fields or canals, you know how well it handles wet conditions. That's because its hollow stems help move oxygen down to the roots. It's naturally built for wet environments. But here's the important part. When the seeds are just sprouting, or when the plants are still young, I only keep the soil moist, not soaking wet, because young roots are still weak. Too much water at that stage can rot the seeds or damage the roots. Once the plants are stronger, I give them much more water. And that's when they really take off. Water spinach almost feels like it wants water every single day. Besides water, it also loves sunlight. Around 4 to 6 hours of sun is perfect. Morning sun is even better. Summer is the best time to grow it. That's when it grows the fastest. As for fertilizer, I keep it simple. Most of the time, I use things from my kitchen. Rice water is one of my favorites. It's easy, free, and my plants respond really well to it. Sometimes I sprinkle crushed eggshells around the base. Sometimes I use composted kitchen scraps. Over time, I've learned that gardening doesn't need to be expensive. Simple things often work best. Of course, problems can still happen. If the leaves turn yellow, the first thing I check is watering. Most of the time, it's a water issue. If I see holes in the leaves, it usually means insects are visiting. When that happens, I spray neem oil mixed with a little milk. That's what I use in my balcony garden, and catching problems early always makes a big difference. And then finally, the best part: harvest day. After around 30 days, the stems are long, tender, and ready. I cut the stems above the lower nodes. I always leave the roots, because I know new shoots will grow back soon. One small pot, but enough for several meals. Fresh, green, clean. And honestly, there's something special about eating vegetables you grew yourself. even if it's just water spinach. That feeling is hard to explain. If you're thinking about starting a garden but don't know what to grow first, start with something easy. Start with something fast. Start with something that gives you confidence. And for me, water spinach is one of the best choices. Easy to grow, fast to harvest, and perfect for beginners. If you enjoy real gardening stories and simple tips from my balcony garden, subscribe and grow with me. Maybe your first harvest is only a few weeks away. See you in the next garden.